Please adjust your sitting posture according to 7 meditative postures of Vairocana. Think, all sentient beings have been my mothers. All sentient beings have been my mothers, not just once, but for numberless times. They are as kind as my mothers in this life. Even though all kind mothers sentient beings want happiness, I do not want even a small suffering. However, due to engaging wrongly in objects of adoptions and abandonment, they do not experience any happiness but suffering. In my mind, sincerely generate loving kindness towards all kind mothers and sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if all kind mothers and sentient beings were to have happiness. The causes of happiness is virtue. If all kind mothers and sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, I will cause all kind mothers and sentient beings to have to have happiness and the causes of happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so. As we generate compassion towards all suffering mothers and sentient beings, thinking, how nice it would be if the bodies of all suffering mothers and sentient beings were free from all classes discordant with a conflicting virtue, such as physical pain, suffering, problem caused by 4 elements. May the bodies of all suffering mothers and sentient beings be free from all classes discordant with a conflicting virtue. I will free the bodies of all suffering mothers and sentient beings from the classes, all classes discordant with a conflicting virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
Think just watching that, you can bond in 이친이 또 등에 담아서 가방 또 사다가 좀 지도자와 답에서 어떻게 쓰는 건가는 신경 쓰는 거지.
How nice it would be if the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all classes discordant with a conflicting virtue, such as mental suffering, fear, and all negative, coarse, and subtle discursive thoughts. May the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all classes discordant with a conflicting virtue. I'll free the minds of all suffering mother sentient beings from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
어디에 그렇게 만드는 공하고 찍어서 맞지는 거 타다 같은 거 좀 하고 지도자와 답에서 어떻게 쓰는 건가는 신경 쓰는 거지.
How nice it would be if the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue, such as telling lies, and all negative, coarse, and subtle negative, and all coarse and subtle negative speech. May the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. I'll free the speech of all suffering mother sentient beings from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
네, 성질이다. 통치 무슨 얘기 셔 그거는 누비 좀 타다 갔다 좀 하는 지도자와 답에서 어떻게 쓰는 건가는 신경 쓰는 거지.
How nice it would be if the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings were free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. May the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings be free from all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. I will free the three doors of all suffering mother sentient beings, all classes discordant with accomplishing virtue. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
네, 성질이다. 통치 동행이 좀 모두가 다 했지만 지도자와 답에서 어떻게 쓰는 건가는 신경 쓰는 거지.
How nice it would be if all mother sentient beings were free from suffering and causes of suffering, that is non-virtue. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. I will free all mother sentient beings from suffering and the causes of suffering. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
Just boldness, get it up. 이제 고등에서 뭐를 위 무슨 말인지 내가 보지 대리에 가서 여다가 생기지 고등을 비니까 근데 무슨 내가 봐 생기는 이렇게 시들 틀리고 생기지 공부하는 거 이제 더 보셔 내가 제일 정치세고
Next, we generate bodhicitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. I should take on the responsibility to free all other sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara and of lower realms. Even though I should take on the responsibility, I do not have the abilities to do so now. Who has the abilities? Those who have achieved perfectly complete enlightenment have the abilities to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, by all means, I will achieve the precious state of enlightenment.
이제 권위대 상실 보고도 샤 매기서 근저 버티니 장근가 다이 좀 남바치도지 제가 좀 금방을 하겠어요. 대답이 주시 당니가 다이 좀 도지 como 제가 남바치도 주스 인사 무슨 매바치니 아디는 그 세션이스.
Next, we meditate on all-encompassing yoga mind. The aspiring conventional bodhicitta thinks, for the sake of all mother sentient beings, I will achieve the state of enlightenment. These transform into a perfect mundis at one's heart. And the ultimate bodhicitta, that is one's mind becoming one taste with emptiness, the lack of inherent resistance. That transform into a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
위시 더 보고들 유튜브 기대돼 되고 그거 저기 그랬더니 자꾸 또 만나 있어도 아니지.
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. That I exist neither intrinsically one with, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist inherently.
이따가 있는 것이 무슨 무슨 비cho 걸리지. 이제 걸리서고 내지도 퍼진도 돼. 그냥 내지 센터 받지나. 예, 그래서 바보가 또 있어 봐. 진이 무엇은 뭐시. 주진이 그냥 간다. 내사고서 집이 가서 내사고서 가. 집어대. 내 신지 동지 대화하는 거 그게 저 인체도 파이서 되게 가서 뭐지 하고 대가 내사고서 집에 계속 대시 것이 너네 있어.
As I always mention, it is important and more beneficial to conjoin whatever roots of virtue that we form through our three doors with the practice of six perfections. Thus, to conjoin these roots of virtue with the practice of six perfections, the first practice is generosity. The nature of generosity is an intention of giving. These 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma is for the sake of purifying the suffering and achieving the happiness of all sentient beings.
대유 주진서 같은 것은 또 있으면 주진 원소가 다시 내사고서 집이 가서 내가 그 니제를 쓰는 것도 맞죠. 니딩을 벌써. 니딩을 벌써 인에도 먼저 또 신경 많이 관련된 사고도 제거이나 관련 사고도 집에 계좌도 수도 있는
Next is morality. The nature of morality is a mind of abandonment. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on the Dharma, I will properly abandon my physical and verbal negativities so that they do not manifest these 2 hours.
선거 세가세가는 건지 위생과 세는 것은 당신 내서 것을 집에 가서 리세나 강에다 등에 같이 중간이나 때 당도는 세투바치 중간이나 내서 것을 집에 계좌에 수입 버시는 쓰는 거です.
Next is patience. The nature of patience is an undisturbed mind. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on the Dharma, I will patiently accepting any physical or mental hardships that occur.
이제 전리서는 와서 여러 또 있는 것도 전리시 원서만 하시 한 내서 것을 제발라 생각하다 또 돈에 이제 상황이나 내서 것을 집에 계좌에 전리시 버시는 요리 쓰는 거です.
Next is joyous effort. Joyous effort is a mind that takes delight in virtue. I will take delight in the virtue of listening, contemplating, and meditating on the Dharma.
그래서 간다. 선대지. 세워서 세기를 바꿔로 빌려 찍히는 거 선대지 모습만 나시. 내서 것을 집에 가서 세대 나도다 노여도 봐 만도와 이 샤워를 봤을 때 내서 것을 집에 이 샤워 관리를 들어 봤을 때도 야 보시니 두 가지나 뭐이나 딱 내서 것을 집에 가서 때 보시는 했습니다.
Next is meditative concentration. When I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on the Dharma, I will focus my mind on the intended object without being influenced by the distractions and discursive thoughts.
이제 정말 싫어지. 그래서 근데 줄어 넘기지 거도 싫어지 무엇만 하지. 내서 것을 집에 가서 약간 뭔가 진짜 그 관리나 봐. 야부지 신도 같이 시지 말고 야부지 신도 같이 좋아이나 내서 것을 집에 가서 되게
Last one is wisdom. Wisdom is an awareness that thoroughly distinguishes phenomena. I will properly and correctly understand the words and meanings of the Dharma that I listen to, contemplate, and meditate on.
이제서 했는데 거기에 상당히 공부도 많이지도 담비 최세에 내내 쭉 신에서 내가 공부도 그래서 또 그거야 위치슈
Set a good motivation. For the sake of all mother sentient beings, I have achieved the state of enlightenment. For this purpose, I'm going to listen to the precious teaching, practice accordingly, in order to benefit sentient beings.
거기 되게 뭐 공부도 런지 버마 서서와 런지 버차들 들어와서 나자를 맡기시오. 가지고 뭘 맡기지를 되게 exploit 해야 되는
So we have gone through Svatantika Madhyamaka. So today I would like to talk a little bit about the objects of negations in the systems of Svatantika Madhyamaka, followed by the explanations on Sangika Madhyamaka. Then we'll get some time for question and answer. So in general, when we talk about view is very important. And in order to understand a view, then we need to understand object of negations. So especially when we come to the final view, which is the view of Sangika, then if we can properly identify the objects of negations, then it becomes very easy for us to develop realizations on emptiness. And so if we properly identify the object of negations, then it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long for us to develop realizations. So even those past masters, they say that you don't need, you don't need 5 minutes. So it means that in a very short time, you will be able to develop realizations. So to identify the object of negations for Svatantika Madhyamaka, then the object of negations is the establishment from the side of objects its own modes of abiding without being proceeded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So I repeat, the object of negation for Svatantika Madhyamaka is establishment from the side of the object's own modes of existence, own modes of abiding, without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So I repeat again, the object of negation for Svatantika Madhyamaka, the object of negations is establishment from the side of the object's own modes of abiding, without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So regarding these object of negations for Svatantika Madhyamaka is commonly asserted by, is common in many texts that if one asserts the establishment from the sides of objects or modes of abiding without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So if one asserts such establishment, then it has to be, no, or it must become a true establishment. So such establishment, which is establishment from the side of objects or modes of abiding without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So if object established in this way, then the object must exist truly. So if one grasps or apprehends such establishment, then it becomes self-grasping, and it is an innate self-grasping, and it is also a discouraging to omniscience for Svadantika.
Oh, that is what. What kind of rangi gasha? Taji, tenda chichi taji gasha yodo medere. What? That kind of gasha teji. That kind of lo nemi la na mo shaba mani ba. That rangi ba kind of chue da concise kandi ji na ba kind of lo nemi la na yo shaba ji go lo neba me ba ji shaba ji go re yes lo nemi wa ki shani khora ji mo ni tsu ba chi. Ini ga yo ji go. That sa kandi ji ne ro. Da chue da concise kandi ji ba ina. Lo neme wangi yaba ye pro wan tsuba nin soji go ta kanda bi yoba ina ta kanda ta thani yora kanda lo neme la na yo ge yaba yo pro wan tsuba chi o te bi yoba ina ta thani yoba chabo ka te lo neme la na yo ge yaba mai ba pro wan tsuba chi yo pro wan tsuba chi ve wa lo neme la na yo ge yaba mai ba yo pro wan but you are going to know kill it. No, you want to shop, run when you do, then you got me so to go to his.
Yang kisi dan chu yang tangsa
ina chura kanda kanda ina
lo nome ke wangi shaba mayimba mayina
run when you do na kanda kill it.
Ni so de bo yo.
Oh, they need to go. No, you may now shaba money, you put on to Sna. They can never to us that, but the Gasha should be the one.
They didn't but to the child.
No, you may now shaba my but you put on to Sna.
Yeah, so this is the object of indications for Svadantika Madhyamaka. So for Svadantika Madhyamaka, whatever phenomenon it is, whether it is a phenomenon or whether it is a person, so it takes the combinations of two aspects, two parts. The first part is being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness, and together with object establishment from its own side. So it takes two combinations of these two. The first part is being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness, together with the object's establishment from its own side. So with these two together, then as Svadantika Madhyamaka assert that it is an existent, it exists conventionally. So if one part of this is missing, for example, not being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness, but the object is established from its own side, then they do not have such assertions, because it is a true establishment for Svadantika Madhyamaka. So I mentioned there are two parts, right? The first part is being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness, together with the second part, which is objects establishment from his own side. With these two together, for Svadantika Madhyamaka, they assert that it is an existent, it exists conventionally. If one part of this is missing, for example, if one part of this is missing, the first part, without being preceded or not being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness, object establishes from his own side, then it becomes a true establishment, which is not asserted by Svadantika Madhyamaka.
뭐 되지로 그런데 로님을 너희와 샤보 많이 봐 이런 게 공부만 되는 거 누가 된다지 가지 로님에서 왔다는 거서 일 상고 로님에서 왔다는 거서 도미지 쉐바다 도바니라 상고 가야 돼 로님에서 로님에서 왔다 내가 로 만추아 쉐발라 샤고 간다 로님에서 왔다 만추 쉐바 만추 찬다 로님에서 와 주시면 나 주시 많이 봤어야 마트와 세워냐 샤당 지 말어요. 간다 뽑아도 도미니기 시발이 물어와. 나 간다 노네메서 와다 나 주시 많이 봐. 도미 좋아하는 시발이나 한게 너희라. 하시오. 도미 시발 때다 간다 본심이 시다 하고 너희라. 왔어. 와. 저 담보지 도미 시발이나 너희라 뭐.
So this is the object of negations for Svadhanika Madhyamaka, which is establishment from the size of objects or modes of abiding without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So this is the object of negations for Svadhanika Madhyamaka. So to understand this, then we have to understand what does it mean by non-defective awareness. So non-defective awareness also means it means a non-mistaken consciousness, a non-mistaken consciousness. So when we talk about this non-defective awareness, it is twofold. So it can be conceptual consciousness, it can be non-conceptual. So regarding the conceptual, then conceptual consciousness that which is not mistaken with its appearing object. So regarding the conceptual consciousness, so it is not mistaken with regard to its appearing object. So non-defective awareness, it means non-mistaken consciousness, right? So the non-mistaken for a conceptual consciousness, it refers to the conceptual consciousness which is not mistaken with its appearing object. Yeah. So I say wrongly. So it's non-conceptual. So I said regarding the conceptual consciousness that which is not mistaken with its appearing object, right? So I misspoke. So it is referring to non-conceptual. So regarding the non-conceptual consciousness, then that which is not mistaken, it is not mistaken with regard to its appearing object.
rangi sini ju ju na yi chala ma to has ta kon de cha wa lo ni me won zi mi she ko lo de me sha ta na wa lo ni ta rangi sini ju ju na yi chala ma to has wo de na shi.
So an illustration for a non-conceptual is an eye consciousness apprehending blue. An eye consciousness apprehending blue is an illustration for non-conceptual, non-defective awareness. So then it is not mistaken, right? So because it is not mistaken, it is not mistaken with the appearance. It is not mistaken with regard to the appearance factor of establishment by way of its own character. So I repeat, an illustration for a non-conceptual, non-defective awareness is an eye consciousness apprehending blue. And it is non-mistaken because it is non-mistaken with the appearance factor of establishment by way of its own character.
Kira Mando, in a Punzito Batatua, in a Punzito Bate, Tabate, Arang Shiro Montreal. That was his own Hokua. You don't put it over the Chili Mrs. Hela with the Rua. Or that was it over the Rangi Shiro Montreals. Or Shiro Montreal. That Shiro Montreals Kanda, and the Zito Bati Kanda, and the Tiki Kanda, and the Tiki Nature. Anna.
Yani Shiro Montreal.
And Shiro Montreals. That one is Shiro to you.
The China de Punzindo Badi Maturo.
When you talk about Chromata, you have a Chromata. And the Chihim, my Lord name is or the Chihim, no, no, name is that comes up over the domination you are. That was a Chihim, my Baswadi. Don't bother Jawa, the Rangi Shiro Monto has Ilajao. Yes,
no, miss, no name is no
major Cheval Paja, the ones who want to make it around the Noila, that's Shaiba. We did it, Chebash.
Yeah, and then if we were this non-defective awareness, it can be divided into two, right? Non-conceptual and conceptual. So non-conceptual, as I mentioned just now, the illustration for it is an eye consciousness apprehending blue. And then for conceptual, so for conceptual, so for conceptual, it is not mistaken with regard to its determining object. It is not mistaken with regard to its determining object. An illustration for this is a conceptual consciousness apprehending thought. The concept or conceptual consciousness apprehending a thought. So in general, if someone asks you, so is a conceptual consciousness apprehending a thought a mistaken consciousness? The answer is yes. So, however, an illustration like this, the conceptual consciousness apprehending a thought, it is a non-defective awareness. So why do you say this example is a conceptual non-defective awareness? Because it is not mistaken with regard to its determining object.
Tomel Pajao depend on one shade of and that she's new to buy an answer. Matua Sewade, Manda, no, name Matua Sewade, over the Tome Jana Majana, Rang seemed to be known to us, and that do not is. Rang seemed to be known Matua. No, Marani, but I think to a killing or killing where I think to a church, I don't think to a real Really, they can the top of the Tommy ship of Candina, Timchi was now so now, they are Matua mother, treat it all in dry.
Dominata, Tobainada, Gang saying you attribute now it's a lama to long is a
dance now, my thought you mother, Chile, is. The Montua is a cousin, I don't kill you once. What? That told you in a killing Moroa.
Yeah, so this is this is what we the explanations on non-defective awareness, that it is a non-mistaken consciousness, and this non-defective awareness can be divided into two, conceptual and non-conceptual. So regardless it is conceptual or non-conceptual, a non-defective awareness must not be mistaken with the appearance factor of establishment by way of its own character, because Svadantika do assert establishment by way of its own character. Regarding the object of negations, I would like to explain the object of negations for Svadantika Madhyamaka based on the example of magicians.
뭐 샤와 좀 시바라 지미 빼고 시바 가는 제거스나 그래서 점막이 되우시 아 도와줘와 점막이 되우시 당나도 주비세 다 점막해다 지미가지지 미래비 데모하다 그래서 당도 점막해 가자 코라시 점막해다 지미 가지지 미래비 데모하세와 미래비 데모하 지미 가지지 미말레비 시들레비 가자 소라 나지들 메다데 나 가자들 비상으로 나타나와 어디 이 가자 손을 비상
맞아. 가자들 낭주 이거라.
낭주고 나와
가자기 낭주.
내 가자가서 나 가자들 간이 나오고 있어. 와 만나봐 간이도 나기 쓰레도 만나기 쓰레도 어디서 마치가 시우로 와.
So to talk about how this object of negations appears, then the example of a magician is there are three persons. So the first person is a magician, and the second person is audience whose eyes are affected by the magical substance and mantra, and the third persons are those who have just arrived. Those who have just arrived and their eyes are not affected by the magical substance and mantra. So there are three groups of people. So the first group of people is a magician, and the second group is audience whose eyes are affected by the magical substance and mantra, and the third one is audience who have just arrived. So those audience who have just arrived, their eyes are not affected by the magical substance and mantra.
어디 가서 숨쉬고도 와. 주마 기다든 나지가도 동료라 앞에 참아하고 와. 주마 기는 가서 배 뭐지 두스 뭐지 아주라고 배 레드부다라 배 샤우 서바다 지스스라고 들이 주미된 도와 가다. 지스스. 내가 뭐지 레드부치 지스서바도 샤우 서바다 들이 진도와. 주마 기로 와.
가르쳐.
자, 샤우 뭐라고 소다. 참 레드부치와 레드부치 두스 맞네. 근데 주마기 두 수도. 다 간다 주마기 코나다 주민아지 지밀에다 주민아지 지밀에서는 다 코나 때문에 땅에 간가라 간다. 그 밀라 간다. 지지가 지네 간다. 나한테 간다 곧 코나게 소가 나기 통화 수정 와. 그런 그 주민 때문에 나한테 때문에 통화 수요 와. 그 되게 수정 와. 어디로 간다 주민아지 지밀에 와서 때문에 수요 와. 주마기 코나게 그런 소가 나기 통화 연주 나지 나지 간다 두스 깨요 와. 맞지? 얘는 간다 통화해 주셔야 왜래? 제스랭게 나지 마소게 이만까지 나지 이 그는 마소게 코스카 거 때문에 당기 gelé 바이나 이 코라 담문에 되어 이만까지 주식 주사기 시 되어의 시다 제가 간이나 내가 마도 신다가게 공유 말아 다 대선만 빼지 친구다 너무 대선 얘기 그 소리 하자 이거 때는 좀 이제 맞추고
So there are two groups of people, right? The first one is the magician, him or herself. So as you see in the magic show, so a magician can conjure a piece of cloth into a pigeon or into a mouse, for example. And then the second group of people are those audience whose eyes are affected by the magical substance and mantra. So their eyes are affected by the magical substance and mantras already. So they are shown what the magician wants to show them, or they see what the magician wants to show them. And the third group of people are those who are newly arrived, whose eyes are not affected by the magical substance and mantra. So what they will see held in the hands of the magicians is just pebble or stick, for example.
What is the shouting as that they did that? Diushi, that you might be Diushi, Tana the Matuja Virua. That Tana the Matu with it. What you might have at Diushi is a red circle that was sending Anama, usually. Frango, nowhere, Frango, nowhere, not Frango, but the nowhere, okay, the Tana nowhere. This is nowhere, red to war. Nowhere there, in a corner, no one is the rest of the shame, but you're in the deal. But they have over a crown silver, crown silver, crown, Naya, Sera, mother, when it's a end, it's not the shame, but your mother. No one is shame, but your mother. You might go crown, no one is the shame, but your Yes. Shemba means a Koran no one she Koran, there are into some Zingmarwa. Zing Manzi was that now I read by your Juma Koran.
So when a magician starts a magic show, then he starts to conjure pebbles or stick as horse or elephant or a mouse, for example. So this magician shows to the audience, as he conjures this magic to the audience. So those pebbles and sticks appears. There is appearance of pebbles or stick as horse or elephant to the magician himself also. So even though he shows it to the audience, and then there is appearance of pebbles or stick as elephant or horse to the magician himself also. However, magician do not cling to it as it is, do not grasp that it is as it is, or do not think that it is true.
No, you like Shemba make it certain. Juma Korawa, that I'm going to do is Garwa. Juma can do the ocean. All of the no one Shemba make it certain. That Juma approach.
Yeah. So there are two factors here. The first one is appearance, and the second one is clinging or appearance or grasping. So having the appearance, but without the clinging, it's magician himself. So there is for magicians, there is appearance of pebbles or stick as horse or elephant, but magician does not cling it as it is.
I know the Shemba Ninga Yogi through. I know the Shemba Ninga Yogi that Jimmy was to be me happy. Emo Diri. Emotangi. Atila Kundo, Juma Kiji, ni Kutini Kwana Sosarwako, Z, Kanda, and Z Jesarwa. That's it, Kanda, gets a little mid laser Kanda. Dewishi, Dewishi, Dewi by Shiva, no will marry. You get Dewi the Talan now, you're a book. And no one actually can be in the world. I don't think we're no one actually got on Zindu. Wow, they don't need the word. I know the Shemba Ninga Yogi. Jimmy Million, the demo was a detective. The cookie was a figure, they will see the no will mother. You do she's in the no will. You do see the Talana. Wow. Was it just like a two sheet they will kill it? Wow. Read the do she read it, do she's at the beginning, no will marry. Did you do see the Talana? Okay, I would not see the it's not what. But that didn't know the Shemba Niga. You hear that? You may not see anybody.
So those who have the appearance and also have the clinging refer to the second group of people. So the second group of people, for them, because their eyes are affected by the magical substance and mantra, so they do not see the basis of the illusions anymore. So the basis of illusions refer to the pebbles or stick. So the pebble or stick do not appear to them, but they see the appearance of pebbles or stick as elephant or horse. So what appears to them is elephant or horse or mouse. For example, I conjure a piece of cloth and then as a rat or as a mouse. So what appears to them is the horse or elephant or rat or mouse. And they also cling to it. They also cling to it as it is. So this refers to the second group of people, those audience whose eyes are affected by the magical substance and mantra.
I know the Shemaniga Mishakantadre, giving out the Gimi Malebatrua. That Paranape, that Kakeno Masakanda, Mile or Marwa, a me Maleva Sunza, Jimaki go, giving out this Mile or Marwa, giving out the Maleva Sunza, and a Jewish Moto, Talanga, Lambo Chicago, Nango Yomari, Shingo Yomari. And you can make it raw.
And the third group of peoples are those who have newly arrived and their eyes are not affected by the magical mantra and substance. So for the third group of people, there is no appearance and there is no clinging as well. So there is no appearance of horse or elephants or mouse, and they do not cling to it as it is as well. So what they see is only piece of cloth, pebbles, stick only. So there is no appearance of force, elephants or rats, and they do not cling to it as well. So to link this example of magician to its meaning. So first I want to talk about the second group of people, which is those audience whose eyes are affected by magical substance and mantra. So for this group of people, their two factors are complete. They are as they have appearance and they have clinging as well. So yeah, and this group of people, audience whose eyes are affected by the magical substance and mantra. So it refers to those ordinary beings who have not realized emptiness. Those ordinary beings who have not realized emptiness. And yeah, so for them, for ordinary beings who do not realize emptiness, whatever phenomena it is, whether it is an external phenomena or whether it is an internal phenomena, it appears to be established from the sight of objects, or modes of abiding, without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So I repeat, for ordinary beings who do not realize emptiness, whether it is an internal phenomena or whether it is an external phenomena, those phenomena appear to be established from the sights of objects on modes of abiding without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So the appearance is there. So it appears in this way. And ordinary beings who have not realized emptiness also cling to it as well. So the conceptual consciousness that cling or that grasps or that apprehends such establishment is the true grasping. So that true grasping is an innate true grasping. And this establishment, as I mentioned just now, the establishment from the sight of objects or modes of abiding without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So such establishment is asserted as a subtle object of negation, for an ultimate analysis. 전담 주지기 각자로 전담 주지기 각자 전담 주지기 각자. Yeah, so it's asserted as the subtle object of negation for the reasoning or sign that analyzes ultimate. So in short, phenomena here as true, truly existent for ordinary beings who have not realized emptiness, and ordinary beings also cling to it as such, also cling to it as well. So such establishment is asserted as a subtle object of negation for the reasoning that analyzes the ultimate. So in short, for ordinary beings, phenomena appears as truly existent, and they also cling to it or grasp at it or apprehend it as truly existent.
돈이 뭐또 비수도 뛰어오니 뭐 무슨 빼된다. 야, 너도 같이 봐야 돼. 그와 되니로와. 돈이 뭐또 비수 빼대. 간다. 주민와지 미래비 간사 대당 빼대로와. 대당 다 주민 돈이 뭐또 비수죠. 라고 되니. 되니 빼대자로와. 다 되니 난다고 와. 그기도 모두 너무 되니로와. 야사 빼대자서. 간사.
So we understand this through the example of magician, through the example of magic, right? So we have to understand the second group of people, which is audience whose eyes are affected by the magical substance and mantra. So in this example, the second group in the example, it refers to those ordinary beings who do not realize emptiness. So this is how you link the example to the actual meaning. So you link the second group of people and refers to those ordinary beings who do not realize emptiness. In the first group of person in the example, which is magician, it refers to ordinary beings who have realized emptiness. Ordinary beings who realize emptiness. So this is the example and the actual the meaning. So then the first group, which is magician in the example, then it refers to ordinary beings who have realized emptiness or who realize emptiness in the actual meaning. So this is how you link the example with the meaning. So as in the example, a magician has the appearance. So has the appearance means that there is appearance of horse and elephant to magician, but magician do not cling to it. So just like this example, an ordinary beings who realizes emptiness. So for them, all phenomena appears to be established from the sight of objects or modes of abiding, without being posited by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. But they do not cling to it as it appears to them. So I repeat. So regarding the magicians, as I mentioned just now, magician has two. Magician has only one factor, right? Appearance. But magicians do not cling to it. There's no clinging for magicians. So just like this example, an ordinary being who has a realized emptiness, for them, for this particular ordinary being, all phenomena appears to be established from the sides of objects or modes of abiding, without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. But ordinary beings who have realized emptiness do not cling to it as it appears.
내가 나시. 나간다 돈이 좀 쓰고 되게. 내가 주로 나요. 결국은 이런 거 중요한 예를 들면 그거 그래야 돼. 지금 말해. 다른 지금 말해서나 최단 절로라 나요가 샤비. 옆에서 동그래 해서 다가나. 돈 두고 열어 와. 수비료리 돈 두고 열어 와. 그러니까 돈 두고 쓰는 거 와. 최단 절로라 나요가 샤비. 옆에서 두고 열어 해서. 너라 나요 샤비 옆에서 또디 너라 나요 샤바 많이 봐. 그러면 나요 샤바 그냥 예시고 그거 인지요.
출산지 공다. 너라
나요 샤비 옆에서 또그레스. 옆에서 또그레스 도와. 그래서 이제 너라 나요 샤비 옆에서 또그레스. 도와. 또그레스. 이 또와 선자 대도 부지지도 그 돈이 도 부지지로 와. 돈이 도고 열어 와. 돈이 도고 열어 와. 아 저랑 이제 너라 나요 샤바 많이 이런 거 팀모 많이 내리고 그거 나 그래. 나와나 신 지그레는 지금 말에 가르친 지금 말이나 너 최단데 너 나요 샤비 옆에서 또그레스. 돈이 또그레스. 내가 가져.
So these ordinary beings who has realized emptiness, so there is appearance, but there is no cling. They do not cling to it. So there is appearance of horse and elephant, for example. Then in actual meaning, then it refers to all phenomena appears to be established from the side of the object, all modes of abiding, without being preceded by the power of appearing aware, without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So, however, even though phenomena appears in that way, they do not cling to it as such, because they have realized emptiness. So that's why, in actual meaning, it refers to ordinary beings who have realized emptiness, right? So because they have realized emptiness. So they have realized that all phenomena merely exist by being preceded by because they have realized that all phenomena merely exist being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So I repeat. So this magician then links to the actual meaning is ordinary beings who have realized emptiness, right? So for ordinary beings who have realized emptiness, there is appearance. What appearance is that? Phenomena appears to be established from the side of the objects or modes of abiding, without being preceded by the power of hearing to non-defective awareness. So there is such appearance, but they do not cling to it. They do not cling as it appears, because they have realized emptiness. They have realized that all phenomena merely exist being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness.
됐다. 나간다. 아마도 다 들어와. 나와도 신발 니가 몇개 줘와. 나와도 신발 니가 몇개 뿌리대. 간다. 나도 실내스 때문에 간다 지와. 민마도 민 말레비 간다 때문에 지와. 대당 가서 오는 것은 또네 법이냐셔 이시. 오는 것은 법이냐셔 이시잖아 이거. 와. 오는 것은 또네 법이냐셔 이시 때 내가 간다. 때문에 실내비 때문에 그게 되게 땅하다. 나와야 말이 제바야 말 대매바 나시 오는 것은 또 최단지 때 오는 것은 법이냐셔 이시. 냐셔 이시 때라 간다. 그래가지고 덴버트가 나와야 말 덴버트가 나와나 지시. 신고 말이 신바가 니가요 말이스. 좋아. 나와야 말 신바야 말. 지요 말이스. 어디나
And in the example, the third group of peoples are those who have newly arrived and their eyes are not affected by the magical substance and mantra. So it refers to, for example, Arya's exalted wisdom of meditative viewpoints that realizes directly emptiness. Arya's exalted wisdom of meditative viewpoints that realizes emptiness directly in meaning. So the example and the meaning. So the example is those eyes are not affected by the magical substance, right? Because they have just arrived. So there is no appearance of a horse and elephants. They do not cling to it as such. They do not cling to it also. So it refers to an example is Arya's exalted wisdom of meditative viewpoints that directly realizes emptiness in meaning. So for such Arya's exalted wisdom of meditative viewpoints that directly realizes emptiness, there is no appearance of all phenomena that is established truly, and they do not cling to it also. They do not cling to it, they do not grasp at it. So the phenomena do not appear to be truly established, and they do not cling to it also.
maybe only now shall he one that trick up on somebody now. Chance only to be chance probably now shall he take it. Somebody the church of my yashi. Pero somebody the church of my yamcha. That only goes to go there so down. Then but to be no other ship, but all new. What?
And so we have to understand the example and also the meanings. The example, the example, it refers to the third group of people, those audience who have newly arrived and their eyes are not affected by the magical substance and mantra. So for them, there is no appearance of horse and elephant, and there is no clinging, so they do not cling to it also. So then it refers to the meaning. Then like the exalted wisdom of Arya's exalted wisdom of meditative viewpoints that directly realizes emptiness. So for such Arya's exalted wisdom of meditative viewpoints, there is no appearance of true existence, and they do not cling to it also. So because they are in the state of meditative viewpoints, their exalted wisdom and the emptiness are like pouring water into water.
Oh, this is that day, that day, you want to change the harbor, but you want to pay in the Omar and Chippy. The painting yard, I should have in a moment to order. Yeah, the painting yard, I wish I got you. The painting yard, I wish you there was no answer, but to be no answer what the chamber said, you would see over. Indeed, painting the Hako day. Hako, the children, well, now I shall my, but you know, tomorrow might be diligent when everybody. Now I'm she shinking and thinking is soon needed. The concert is she called in a now. I shall say, Papa, Satan would totally not take on that. I shall do all the shipping of the channel.
Chasing Papa
Satan will be set on Bunya. I get it. Was from the Yoga. No, she was the Satan money Sunday. On the Munina, United Kidilla, on the Chanza. You are such a virus, and you suffer the high was and you sell the high.
So regarding this, the object of negations, regarding this Svatantika Madhyamaka's assertions, so then is indicated by the example of magic, right? And regarding this example and what actual meaning it refers to. It appears in many texts, so it's good to it will be very good for you to understand it. And when you refer to other texts, then you will be able to understand the explanations from other texts. So we talk about the appearance, that phenomena appears to be truly existent. And then when we talk about clinging to it, so for some people, there is for some group of people, then these two are present. Then for some, then there is only one, and another one is absent, for example. So referring to the third group of people, I say those bodhisattvas who have achieved the first ground, for example. So for those bodhisattvas who have achieved the first ground, from the first ground onwards, there is no appearance and there is no clinging for the exalted wisdom of meditative equipoise on emptiness.
다 간다가도 가샤도 쉬우리 다 간다 지나 가지고도 탄주어지 다 가샤가 돼야 때 살이 치고 싶어 주는 다 간다 다 쳐봐 줘도 가서 네가 신고 싶어 와 안지바 가샤 되는다 탄주어 가샤 되는다 예 안지바 가샤 돼야 무슨 왜서 쉬우리 탄주어 가샤 되는 때 사는 거로 와이 사는 거리 띄고 시야 피고요 근데 안지바게 예 그것도 또 되버려버리나 그 당시 또비 빠서 임바 맞이 그런 거는 측두가 네가 좀 그래서 당 가서 다시
와이나
란지블 최단지 또비 따서 했어 당 가서 쇼 개박하시 가서 란지바 또비 따서스네 키는 거 말이야 당 가서 이제 키는 봐 맞아 다 이제 시작인 식으로 와 가시기 가시기 간다 개박하시기 란지바도 최단지 또비 따서스네 키는 거 말이야 그 단계 로가 나요 샤바세 라고를 말도 또비 따서스네 키는 거 말이야 밀로니 요래 들어와 당 가서 야 이제 도단지 요래와 도단지 요래 그런 지박이 그 단계 또비 따서 키는 거 요래스 키는 거 요래스 또비도 단주하게 최 단계 또비 바꿔서 키 니가게 단주가 최 단계 또비 바꿔서 따서 단주가 최 단계 또비 따서 어디니 쳐봐 되지 땅서와 되게 쳐봐 뭐다 간다 땅서와 되게 그러니 쳐봐 샤워래 땅다 시면도 와
장다 니가 요래데
장다 니가 요래데 장다 니가 제자 된다네 뭐 찍고
제자
뭐 제자 장다디 장다서와 장다 딱 제자 된다 들어와 들어와 오 제자로 가샤들로 하래 제자 다른 집하고 와서 신앙의 최단지 또비 따상의 따상의 생각이 같이 그래서 신앙의 최단지 렘버트 버리 제 말했어
신앙기 주
신앙의 최근 어디가 제 짱서 렘버트 버리 제 말했어 렘버트 버 최단 신앙의 최단지 렘버트 버리 제 말했어 와 렘버트 버리 제 말했어
강규 바로
오 집하고 미리 코랑 문에 두바리 열다 왔어 또비 따상의 너 따바다 유 코랑 문에 또 짱저기 같이 해나 최단지 렘버트 버리 제 위에서 렘버트 말했어 다라지가 그리고 렘버트가 따바래서 나 제바래서 나도 스코디에 강림으로 와 어디서 따라 집에 짱저기 짱저기 이 가야 돼 스코디로 와래 예
유인원이 또 봐 링이오라
저기 유인원이 또 지금 말했어 그런 원이 또 지금 말해 거기 그런 원이 또 요랬어 짱저기 다 가르치기를 가르치고 해서 렘버트가 가버려 렘버트가 했어 어디로
Yeah, so regarding the object of negations for Svadhanika Madhyamaka and Prasangika Madhyamaka, so there is a difference in terms of its subtlety. So the different subtlety of the object of negation for Svadhanika and also Prasangika. So if we identify the object of negations for Svadhanika Madhyamaka, so when we come to the object of negations in the Prasangika Madhyamaka system, which is more subtle than the Svadhanika Madhyamaka, then it will help us to understand the object of negation in the systems of Prasangika. So in some of the texts, or some master, they say that Svadhanika Madhyamaka, they only assert being perceived by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. They do not for some master, they say that Svadhanika Madhyamaka do not assert that all phenomena are merely seated by conceptions or by conceptual thoughts. for some master, they do not say that Svatantika Madhyamika assert that all phenomena are merely designated by conceptual thoughts or conceptual consciousness. They only assert that being perceived by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. However, for some masters and in some of the texts, then they assert that Svatantika Madhyamika do assert both of these, that both, which is Svatantika Madhyamika asserts that all phenomena are merely designated by conceptual consciousness, together with being perceived by the power of being, by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So regarding this, all phenomena are merely designated by conceptual thoughts, or asserted by. So we follow the second assertions. So which is Svatantika Madhyamika assert both of these. All phenomena are merely designated by conceptual thoughts, together with being perceived by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness. So these all phenomena are merely designated by conceptual thoughts, and and Prasangika Madhyamika also asserts similarly, also assert give the same assertions, almost exactly the same, which is all phenomena are merely perceived by the conceptual consciousness. So these words in English, I haven't come across the translation that translated this word. So basically, is the conceptual consciousness designated over on all phenomena. So all phenomena are merely perceived, so I haven't come across such a translation, so I don't know how to translate exactly this word. However, the Tibetans one, for Prasangika Madhyamika, there is one word which is over, that resonated over on the object. So, however, these two, Svatantika assertions and Prasangika assertions, there is a similarity, which is the word mere. So mere or merely. So what does this So for Svatantika Madhyamika and for Sangika Madhyamika, this word mere eliminates a different object of abandonment or objects of eliminations. So for Svatantika Madhyamika, this word mere eliminates the true existence or true establishment. So because for Svatantika Madhyamika, they do assert establishment from the object side, right? So they do assert the establishment from the object side. So this word mere does not eliminate the establishment from the object side. So what does it eliminate? It eliminates the true establishment, eliminates or refutes the true establishment. So in short, Svatantika Madhyamika, they assert that all phenomena are merely designated by conceptual consciousness, and this word mere eliminates true establishment. So Svadhantika Madhyamaka asserts that all phenomena are merely designated by conceptual consciousness, right? And this word mere eliminates to establishment. So for Prasangika Madhyamika, they asserts almost the same, but they with an additional word, which is so in English then can be translated as over. So something doing an actions onto something. So Prasangika Madhyamika, they asserts that conceptual consciousness, all phenomena are merely designated by conceptual consciousness. So meaning conceptual consciousness merely designate over onto the object, or merely designated onto the object. So it has onto or over. So conceptual consciousness merely designates onto the object. There is nothing established from the side of the object. So that is what the word pa or over means. So conceptual consciousness phenomena are merely designated by conceptual consciousness onto the object without anything established from the object side. So you can see that one goes over there and there's nothing comes from the objects. So conceptual consciousness designates onto the object without anything established from the object side. So this word mere for Prasangika Madhyamika, it eliminates establishment from its own side, and it eliminates the establishment by way of its own character. So the objects of negation, objects of eliminations are different, or objects of negations are different.
我的的切巴是切罗，当然都是嘛，当然做的谈着那个嘛，切巴搞着，我是等到几点唱是吧的，等到几点就是不是吧？
懂的，
等到几点唱可能对嘛？等到几点唱着，等到几点不是？另外的谈着的话，地方切巴是了，我的多是的谈着的，那你到底大的再一次的你就要嘛的是吧？啊，那你到底再一次了？
啊，他的翻译，翻译到吧？
你到底再一次呢？你比较的没有希望，还在
翻译特別短嘅，
不必學
講得哦，
冇他講到啲
你必須兩件事咯，其實
你到底再一次呢？你就要把的，大概
翻譯特別
再一次呢？大
段哦，
你到底再一次呢？你就要把的打下來，談咗
大段，
再一次你就要把的打下。 以后马来西亚的，他那到底在你就中巴一呢，人家第一些，比这些的多的，他谈就这个小了，比这些的多的是吧？他那到底在一起呢，你就中巴一呢，比这些的多的是，多的些，比这个的人多是吧？
等等注意参談，等等注意嘅日八嘅咯。
我日八的，他這麼起來寫的，他多。
呢啲。
我談咗呢，你練的啥？日本的農的就了，你練的啥？日本的農是得談的，大把在就嘛，新巴了哇，你談的大把就嘛，是吧？談的那個點的，那個恐怖的咧哇，大把的，練的先看到，就等於錯的是的，錯呢，等於錯呢，等到你唱這個的談咗，等到這個唱是吧？等到這個唱的個話，你練的啥？ 日本的農一些談的大把上就嘛，新巴了哇！你談的大把上就嘛，新巴，你談的大個，有點恐怖的咧哇，大把的，你咧跟先搞的，有點這個錯的，等到這邊唱的是了哇，等到這邊唱的是，你解釋的，你就是那道理解釋的，多的我談咗，你解釋的，你就是那道理解釋的多的是，是嘞。
你風波啲算唔俾其實啦，風波啲即係話談，扛沙幾多啦咧？哦。 강사들
예를上日本的農些아니 따바다지 마지바 아니 따가 되게 고래려 따바다 되게 되게 가도 두게 초하나 된다 지금 상하는 거래 니 초이나 니 짜이나 근데 니지 중바이나 니지 주나 리피제제도 두바래 리피제제도 두바래 된다 지금 가샤 리피제제도 두세 되게 주고 가죠
盡量注別侵啲，盡量注別侵。
녹서만 달리고 싶어.
그래. 시시요. 대라서.
말하는 길도.
So regarding 가자 가자기 콜라레.
단주하고 가셔야 시도 거든요. 단주와서 어디 내기 렌데사 일본은요. 사실 이미 단에 따봤다지 말씀가 지금 말했지 단에 따봤다 맞지 봐. 나 단에 따면 되는데 이미 그냥 뭐 해와다 가사에 제가 가사 뭐를 해와다 저파다 이제 대신 아주 또 되게 좋아나 이게 좋아나 내가 그 정하는 이게 좋아하게 된다 진짜. 근데 손으로 와 손에 된다 집에 창다. 근데 가다 쌈이 그 모두 짠이 제시기 되는 얘기 좀 가사도 얘기 좀 봐이나 가다 이제 주나 그래서 비치에서 두 마리 해서 비치에서 두 세월에 이 두스나 이 주나 된다 집에 같이 가셔 잡는 거 가셔야 되면서 나도 요 말에서 다죠 이 이제 주 용어를 세라에는 이 누가 이나 가셔야 말은 명령제가 요 말에서 뭐와 비치에서 두고 그래서 비치에서 두고 그래 그래서 비치에서 두고 있어야 돼 가다 다니다 따지다에서 니지 요바 니지 요바 정말이나 비치에서 두고 그래서
니규 총와이나 데 가자로
가셔야 와 이 가셔야 돼 비치에서 두고 비치에서 두고 그래서
강사기 죽추로 하는다 강사기 죽추 대 세기어로
세야돼 가서 들어와
강사이나 강사기 죽추
가서 쭉 갈리나 지나 근데 정말 자야
죽추 대 세기어 말이 강사대 강사대
맞아요. 따라하는 거 두고 된다 또 그래. 나는 두고 이제 뭐 누구들보다 우리 이제 좋아하는 두고들이 참 이제 정말이나 이 가서 이제 정말이나 이 비치에서 두고 그래서
regarding this object of negations, and it also is also related to the terms that probably we have heard before, which is whether it can withstand the analysis by reasoning or not, whether it can withstand the analysis by reasoning or not. But yeah, and it also related to terms like a threshold at which point it becomes ultimate analysis or threshold for an ultimate analysis. So these object of negations related to these two terms also, threshold for an ultimate analysis, also whether it can withstand analysis by reasoning or not. So for Prasangika Madhyamaka, they assert that, so a person saying that I accumulated this karma, I experienced this result. So Prasangika, without being satisfied with mere designation by verbal conventions, they search for whether the object that is designated by convention exists or established, whether in an individual aggregate or in a collections of aggregates or as something other than that. So if when they search for the object in this way, and if it is found, then it is asserted as being able to withstand analysis by reasoning. So if the object is found when search for a person, whether it is inherently existent or not, if it is found, then it is an object of negations. So I repeat, for Prasangika Madhyamaka, they assert that person who says that I accumulated this karma, I experienced this result. So they do not satisfied with mere designation by verbal conventions. They search for the object that is designated by verbal conventions, whether it is established in an individual aggregate or whether it is established in collections of aggregates or it is established as something other than that. So if it is found, when searched for the designated object in this way, and if it is found, then it is asserted as, that object is asserted as being able to withstand analysis by reasoning. So in this case, when search for a person, whether it is inherently existent or not, if such object is found, it is an object of negation.
다치당가도 단주가 된가도 원 단주 단주만 인가라가 어떻게 이거 시행이고 그렇게 다디가다 신도심으로 단주도 되는 거고 여러 원집이 간다 된다 집이 소소하다 또 님에라 나요 너 님에라 나요 그 제가 많이 봐 이런 거 팀모 많이 빌리고는 정말 제발에 된다 집에서 좋아 괜히 된다 집에서 이 전에 지시되 니지시나 그 계속 두고 그래서 이 전에 니시되 니지시나 그 계속 두고 그래서 여러 원집이 들어와 너 님에라 나요 제가 많이 이런 거 팀모 많이 빌리고는 누가 막 제발에 된다 집 지시를 봐 된다 지시를 봤는데 된다 집에서 이 자리 지시된 니지 도마이나 그래서 두 번이 이게 이거는 이게 그래서 근데 단적으로 이번 나시랑 뒤밖에 하여 니지 열쇠라고 하는데 그때 너무 길 세모로 와 단적으로 더 되지나 그런 집밖에 내가 니지 따뜻한 니지 열쇠 봐 단적으로 니지 요 말이 세모로 와 단적으로 니지 열쇠 그런 집밖에 내가 집 상다 지시된 니지는 이게 제시된 그 시스템 맞는 거 와.
So the threshold for ultimate analysis for Svatantika Madhyamaka is, for Madhyamaka is whether it is established from the sights of the objects or modes of hiding without being preceded by the power of adhering to a non-defective awareness or not. So whether it is established in that way or not, then that is the threshold for ultimate analysis. So when searched for in that way, if it is found, then it is asserted as being able to withstand analysis by reasoning. And for Svatantika Madhyamaka, they say the objects can be found. The object is found. So, however, this is asserted differently from Prasangika Madhyamaka. So, regarding this, regarding the assertions, Prasangika Madhyamaka's assertions, when we come to the Prasangika Madhyamaka topics, then I will explain further. I will try my best to explain further. Yang dapat berubah tang, tempat berubah, oh, dekonani itu So for Prasangika Madhyamaka, phenomena do not at all exist truly, do not exist truly, do not exist ultimately, and do not exist in suchness or in reality, or do not exist in its reality. If I'm not mistaken, I do not know the exact word for it. So for Prasangika Madhyamaka, phenomena do not at all exist truly, do not at all exist in reality, do not at all exist in suchness, and do not at all exist ultimately. Yeah. So again, for Prasangika Madhyamaka, they are existence that exist from his own side, and they are existence that exist inherently, that exist by way of his own character, and they are existence that establish conventionally. So this is for Prasangika Madhyamaka.
that when you are doing some other that is what lady what that is in Omago. Oh, tanduaga page 뭔가 단주가 그 미세기 규모 많이 봐 보시면 되다. 그래서 백간이 있어요. 그래서 막 이스 같이 정말이랑 쉬어 있어와 이런 것도 랑리 비따와 걸려오디야 저거로 뭔가는 가서 단주가 비따와 문제이 양성이 아주 장원이 회사에서 예 단주가 준다고 하는 것은 단주가 규모 많이 백간이 있어. 다시 여러 소마 미세지 쉬는 중에 와지 단주가 비과라.
So today I'm not going to talk about Prasangika. I'm not going to start the topic on Prasangika Madhyamaka. So if you have any questions, then say you can ask now. So when I talk about Prasangika Madhyamaka in coming class, then I will I encourage all of you to continue to pay attention to explanations on Prasangika Madhyamaka because they are uncommon way of assertions, or their way of assertion is uncommon to other schools, and I'm going to talk about their difficult points as well. So together with the Lamrim teachings. So when in Lamrim teachings, then we are going to talk about view as well. So to combine all these together, then our understanding definitely will become better.
단주가 가도 정말 쉬워 제셔서 당하다 따와서 여러 명은 단주가 같은 데서 단주 비가 정말 야다 이게 뭐 단주가 미세도 막 그게 있어.
Yes, I will try my best to explain, especially those special points or uncommon feature in Sangika Madhyamaka tenets, school of tenets.
Yeah, that's 좋아요, 지금.
So if you have any questions, then you can ask now.
Can I ask a question? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Kwak, can you hear you? Yeah.
Okay. As Keshla have just explained, that the object of negation in the Sangika Madhyamaka can be established, can be found. If that's the case, then how can you say that phenomena is empty of inherent existence in the
You're talking about Svanandika, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because if I heard correctly, Keshla says that on analysis, the object of negation can be established, can be found. If that's the case, then that would contradict the concept of emptiness, isn't it? Can you explain that further?
Yeah, Keshla, ini di Umar Rangyuba lah. Ini di daja gi过来di shi ga lai di tangi di shi di ora. Di kasa. Yeah. Tanda ini di ini di kasa lo no me la na we wangi shaba maimba. Ini di yu rangi ngone Juma Jogi Kola, and it Sevicala, and it Ni Yorwa, and Ni Yorwa, Rangibala, Nia Yorwa.
This is one. Yes, was Pihamata, the Horta. Another email now, I shall make it on the moment you want to come ahead.
The Yomarwa.
Here, nature is the conduct, Tenet, that size in a border, Sobada, eight in the Tanitana. Need your race, each nashi, because that's nature as need yours or depart. And then the Gasha do
it tiny
Kaga de Tanita Meta size in a when it do Tanita size in Indians and maybe yours of that.
Yogi money to me
or usually was the Pumbu thing, the Sopa thing, and that's Kansaki. In the need to do with the party, need your race. Yours that enjoy this on your Marisura. Yours. And you put the other on Jiba Gasha, no numerous knowledge. You don't move your Maris. The Gasha, the Gasha.
Tiny Tabitado in the Kansa penetration.
Another Tanita size need your unit
to Maju in a day, and you may.
So that you can that over the Sobada. She can't do more. If Koran wanted to Chiba China, need your major need your restaurant, need your current majors not change it, eating on she contact neighborly vessel. Eating on she contact neighborly vessel. Eating on the contact neighborly vessel.
Sorry, thank you very much, Mr. Kwa. So how say you clarify your doubts, and then I realized that I misspoke myself again. So regarding for Svatantika Madhyamika, so for Svatantika Madhyamika, when they search for the object designated by verbal conventions, such as a person, for example, whether it is established by way of its own from the object side or not, then for Svatantika Madhyamika, the object is found. The object, which is a person, is found. So whether it is established, when they search for the designated object, whether it is established in an individual aggregate, or whether it is established in collections of aggregate, or whether it is established as something else, then they say the person, which is the designated object, is found. So what they found is a mental consciousness for Svatantika Madhyamika. Mental consciousness is asserted as the illustrations for the person. So I just now I said whether it is established from the sides of the objects or modes of abiding without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness, right? So it is not established in that way. So because for them, no me la đến nào忘记马下吧，你点解下的话？就把点你解下，Yeah, because the establishment from the side of the objects or modes of abiding without being preceded by the power of appearing to a non-defective awareness is the object of negations for Svatantika Madhyamika. So this one I say wrongly. So in Svatantika Madhyamika, when they search for an object, a designated object by verbal conventions, whether it is established from the object side or not, then they search for the designated object, whether it is established in an individual aggregate, in a collections of aggregate, or as something else, as something other than that. Then they say an object is found. So the object found is mental consciousness. So for Svatantika Madhyamika, they assert mental consciousness is the illustrations of the person.
Thank you very much. It's very clear. Thank you.
Yes, I apologize for my mistake. Thank you. Any question?
Ken, I just want to clarify with you. Just now you mentioned the word over. So I just wonder whether the word over has quite the same meaning as superimpose or not.
Oh, Ali. 其實咧，都被拍大堂咯。拍完全都係你睇先，拍完啦，就因此拖年咧就拍堂出咯。拍成一團啦，你拍大啲樣盡多嘅團大遠啦，盡多觀點，盡多嘅團大遠啦。
그런 거는 축도가 되지를 못해서 그런다. 그런 거는 처음 또 플라치고 따와서 해서 그래. 왔다서 그런 거는 축도가 되어 말 따와서 해서. 나도 아직에 빠따서 이렇게 상에서 이렇게 쉬고요. 그런 거는 두 번 열어 봐. 이어와서가 단적이 또 따와서 뭐데 따와서 그런 거는 처음 말고서 따와서 해서.
그래서 파세 그 양준도기 된다 유나 좀로다 이셨지요 말아
그때만 물론 또비 파샤와 해서 따와서 해서 지고도
Yeah. So it doesn't has the meaning of superimpositions. So the word over or onto, I'm not sure exactly what words should be used. What word should be used here? So roughly translated, I roughly translate it as over or onto, right? So like for example, over there or over here. So for Prasangika Madhyamika, we assert phenomena are asserted by the conceptual consciousness. It designates onto the object. Conceptual consciousness designates onto the object. So onto over there. Then without anything established from the object side. So then it has the over there, but there is nothing. there is nothing established from the object side. It's merely the conceptual consciousness sneaks onto the object, onto the object. So, however, what you mentioned just now regarding the superimpositions, you can understand or is related in this way. So, having superimposed by the conceptual consciousness, yeah. So, the conceptual consciousness having superimposed onto the object and grasp the object is established from the object side. So then this is how the word superimpositions come into picture. So a conceptual consciousness having superimposed onto the object and grasp at it as being established from the object side. Then this is related to superimpositions.
Yeah,
so in fact, the object do not establish from the object side, right? So but because of being superimposed by the conceptual consciousness, grasp that it has been established from the objects. So regarding this, when we talk about it, yeah. So So as I mentioned just now, conceptual consciousness having superimposed onto the object, grasp at it as being established from the object side, right? And this is then this is related to superimpositions. So for Prasangika Madhyamika, there is nothing established from the object side, right? So if one grasps at it as being established from the object side, then this is superimposed. This is superimpositions. So superimpositions, which is apprehend or grasp as existence while there is nothing exists from the object side. However, for Svatantika Madhyamika, then this is different. So because Svatantika Madhyamika, they assert establishment from the object side, right? So since object establishes from the object side, they apprehend it, so it is an existence, and then they apprehend as it exists. So there is no superimpositions in this case, for Svatantika Madhyamika. So I repeat, for Svatantika Madhyamika, they assert establishment from the object side, right? So since they assert establishment from the object side, so they do assert it as an existence. So they apprehend it as it exists. So for Svatantika Madhyamika, there is no superimpositions. However, for Prasangika Madhyamika, so if one grasps or apprehends it as existence while there is nothing exists from the object side, then it becomes a superimposition.
Thank you. Today's talk is
so I will stop here, and as the next class, I'm going to talk about Prasangika Madhyamika. Please read before class. We conclude with dedications. We dedicate the roots of virtue that we have accumulated, especially through these Dharma lessons, maybe the complete cause for Buddha Dharma to flourish, and for all sentient beings to experience excellent happiness. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to all upholders of Buddha's teaching, mainly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and to live eons long with excellent health conditions and all their holy wishes and enlightened activities be accomplished instantaneously and be flourished, be spread in all directions. We also dedicate these roots of virtue, especially to our beloved teacher, Kevja Lama Zopa Rinpoche, endowed with great kindness. So may the holy wishes, may Rinpoche's holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously, and may the unmistaken reincarnations of Rinpoche be swiftly returned for the sake of teachings and sentient beings, so that we will have the opportunity to receive the precious Dharma teachings from you again, Rinpoche. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to the world peace, and may excellent happiness spread in all directions. And we also dedicate, may pandemic, wars, conflict, disaster, and natural disaster that happens all around the world may be pacified immediately. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who pass away and those who are in the sufferings, in the state of suffering. May they quickly be free from their sufferings, and may their negativities and obscurations be pacified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who help others, such as those doctors, nurses, and those who help others financially. May they live long, good health, and may their wishes be accomplished and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment.
Now, Thank you.